You want to go downstairs? Do you? You want to go downstairs? Hi everybody, Elliot here, Lazy Dogs Records, and Dylan from Noble Records has a competition, and I thought I would make my submission tonight while I had time. I thought about this one a while. I think I've come up with some pretty good answers. First, before I go to the first question, most frustrating thing when you're crate digging for records or you go into record stores and looking around, it's getting all excited when you find something and you look at it and it doesn't look good, doesn't look promising as far as quality of the vinyl, and getting that back of that head, I bet if I clean this thing up good, it'll play VG. Now, I did that the other day, everything's the other day to me. I did that 6 months ago. Finally got around after cleaning these records to playing them. And I've always been looking for this one. I saw Emma show this one earlier tonight. Well, got it good and cleaned up. I bought it for like, $5 at a booth in an antique shop. And I played it. It plays with a lot of surface noise, but then about the second last song on the second side, it's got a loop in it, and it just can't get over that hump there. And so I was real disappointed. So that was a waste of money, But you see it, you go, oh, I want this. Try to will it to play well, And what's playing right now? This first Dr. John album. I never see this one, and I really like Dr. John. I wanted this one. The Night Tripper, Gris, and it's playing all the way through. It's playing now. It's got a lot of surface noise though. But so I'll keep it and play it as a placeholder until I find a better copy. That's just my little thing right there. Okay, to get to Dylan's questions. Best finds. Probably my best find, and this was a recent find. I could say a lot about a lot of different finds, but this was my most recent find. That I was at the local charity thrift. It's 3 blocks from my house, and I've had amazing luck there. And notice it's a generic cover because the record wasn't in the proper cover. But I looked at it and some things jumped down at me. First of all, it's a Blue Note. And this is Stanley Turrentine, Volume 1, Up at Minton's. And I cleaned this one up, and it cleans up a low end very good. It's really not bad. It's very listenable. I'm not about the money, but it's kind of fun. It's kind of the thrill of the find when you find something like this. In fact, they were selling them that day. Records were 2 for a quarter. So I got this for 12.5 cents. I got Sam Cooke and the Soul Stirrers. Same deal. In the wrong jacket. Cleaned it up, and it cleans up pretty good. So I got them for a quarter total. But when I looked this up on Discogs, and I know Discogs is not the C, B, and end all, but they were selling for a lot of money. And the lowest this sold for, which would probably be a good plus copy, was lowest it had sold for was almost $92, like $91.50 or something like that. So I don't know if this is worth that. I mean, but somebody that really wants this, it might be worth $50 or something like that. So I thought that was a nice little find. Okay, best song ever. Gosh, that's a hard one. I guess, first of all, the instrumental that popped into my mind immediately and never left was In Memory of Elizabeth Reed, written by Dickie Betts of the Allman Brothers Band. That is one great instrumental song, inspired by Miles Davis and John Coltrane. Understand, reading about it years later. Dwayne and Dickie had been listening to a lot, especially Miles, I believe. A lot of Miles Davis. Of course, us rockers wouldn't have known that for Adam. Cheers, little Diet Sun drop here. So, but as far as one with vocals, there is no, you can't really have one. But okay, here's some that popped in my mind. Will the Circle Be Unbroken, or as the Carter family sang it, Can the Circle Be Unbroken? A great song that was built upon earlier songs, some African American gospel songs, and some other sources that kind of all put it together. Took the melody from one, wrote lyrics out for it, and Carter family made it famous, of course. But it's played so often, and it's such a moving song. You know, when you're talking about seeing the hearse come rolling to take your mother away, that's some pretty serious stuff. Quick story. I love stories. We were at a club. This was back when I was 20 years old or something, in Fayetteville. Fayetteville's not known for their nightlife. I mean, it's a military town. It's a rough place. But we were at this, what would be a older clientele place called the Nashville Station, because a band that we followed around a lot, Bill Lyerly band, that we followed around a lot, was playing there one night, and it wasn't far from home. So we went to see them, and the folks in there, we thought they were old. Of course, we were 19, 20, 21 years old. They were probably in their early 40s or something, but we got in a little competition to see how many of these old ladies we thought, I don't mean like old lady like your girlfriend, I mean what we thought were very old people, but they were probably 40 years old, 45 maybe, how many we could dance with in the night, and who could stay out on the dance floor the longest, that sort of thing. It was just a fun little game we were playing, and they were closing out the show with Will the Circle Be Unbroken, and I noticed my friend, suddenly the lady he was dancing with broke away from him and walked back to her table. I didn't know what was up or anything, and I asked him later what it was. He said, well, when he started playing Will the Circle Be Unbroken, she looked at me and she said, I got to go back and sit down. They played that at my mama's funeral, and she couldn't dance to that. So she went back and sat down. So it's very strong, So Greg Allman does it on his first solo album, Laid Back. The Nitty Gritty Dirt Band named that monumental album that they did in '72, Will the Circle Be Unbroken. Carter family, First Family Country Music did it. People do it. It was a song almost all your country rock bands play. Bluegrass bands, of course, play it. So it's a very big song. So I thought of that. But then there's another song that I thought about. I wasn't aware of when it came out, and really the Ken Burns. I thought I knew a lot about Merle Haggard, but Ken Burns documentary introduced me to this particular song by Merle Haggard, and sometimes simplicity is what makes something great. You don't have to play too many notes on your instrument, and you don't have to say too much in your words. But there's a song, and Dwight Yoakam talks about this on the Ken Burns documentary, and it's a very simple song. It's got the chorus, a verse, and the chorus, and that's it. And steel guitar solo in here, in between, things like that. But it's called Holding Things Together. And I'm not saying this is the greatest song ever, but this shows you the power of a song, and it's got to be on up there. It says, holding things together ain't no easy thing to do. When it comes to raising children, it's a job meant for two. Alice, please believe me, I can't go on and on, holding things together with you gone. And then the verse, today was Angie's birthday. I guess it slipped your mind. I tried twice to call you, but no answer either time. But the postman brought a present. I mailed it some days ago. I just signed it, love from Mama, so Angie wouldn't know. And then they repeat the chorus again, holding things together. That is a hard-hitting song. I mean, that, you talk about country music is 3 chords and the truth. Technically, that's 4 chords, but that's the thought is there. That's power right there. All right, moving on. How do you keep track of your collection? I don't. I've got records over here. I got records over here. Got records back there. These records have I found crate digging, and they haven't been cleaned. These records I have cleaned, but I hadn't listened to. These records I've cleaned, and I've listened to, and they're back, and they've been graded, and they're on a shelf. Everything is in some stage of that process that I've got. Okay, so, and I do put it on Discogs, but there's no way I'll ever get everything on Discogs. And record you'll never sell. That I didn't have to think about that one. These 78s were my mother's. My mother died in 2015. She was born in 1927. Born in the Great Depression, or soon after the just before the Great Depression hit, and lived her teenage years through World War II. And these are her big band 78s that she played as a teenager growing up in eastern North Carolina. And I would never, ever even consider parting with any of those. There's a bunch of them. There's more than just that album of records. But that's just an example of them. All right. Favorite documentary. You can find this on YouTube, or at least you could a year or two ago. UNC Public Television does some really good documentaries over the years. They did one, I think it was called Big Show Tonight, which was about the medicine shows. They found people still living that had worked the medicine shows that traveled around the country selling some crazy product and putting on music and comedy and things like that. And they culminated it in doing a show like you would have seen, if you'd been in one of these small towns in 1945 or 1950 or 1930 something. That's a really good one. And I'm not sure that's on YouTube, but the number one for me is one called Step It Up and Go. And that's about the Piedmont Blues. UNC Public Television did many years ago. I used to have a VHS copy of it. I don't have it anymore. I used to show it to my students, or at least parts of it to my students when I taught in 8th graders, North Carolina and U.S. history. And Step It Up and Go is on YouTube, or at least it was fairly recently. So if you're interested in a type of blues that hasn't ever been documented as much as the Mississippi blues and Chicago blues, Step It Up and Go is a really good one you might want to check out. Examples: Reverend Gary Davis, Blind Boy Fuller, and Etta Baker, Elizabeth Cotton would all be Piedmont blues. It's a different type of blues. It explains it in there. So check that out if you're into the blues and want to learn more. And favorite gift record. Well, that's kind of a tie. I get friends and family members and stuff donate records to me, so they bring me records as gifts. And I was in a charity thrift one day 6 months, a year ago, and I was looking for records, and I saw a young lady. She's my age. A young lady that I grew up, I've known all my life, a friend of mine. And she said, "What are you looking for, Elliot?" And I said, "Just trying to find old records." And she said, "Well, follow me out to the farm, and you can have my records and my sister's records." So I followed her out about 5 miles out of town to her farm, and we went into a pack house. And in that pack house were big boxes of records that she and her older sister had accumulated, and great records. I'd lost most of my S's years ago in a mold outbreak, mildew and mold outbreak in my basement, and I didn't have my Springsteen. She had several Springsteen, including this one. A local band, Nantucket. All in all, she gave me about 150 records, maybe a little more than that. She wouldn't. I tried to pay her for them, and she wouldn't take any money for them. And so what I ended up doing was making a donation to the charity thrift where when I saw her, we were both in, which was for SAFE, for people that have to get out of abusive situations in spousal abuse and things like that. So I made a donation in honor of Kathy and her sister Nancy for since they did that nice deed to me. I wanted to do something to somebody, nice deed for somebody. And my cousin Meredith Ann and her husband Chick, my cousins, I love them to death. They're just great people. They live here in town, and they gave me what was left of their record collection. And I got things like, that I'd never bought. I never really had any David Bowie. And J.B. David Bowie, he was a big, Chicks was a big Mott the Hoople fan. So there was like 5 or 6 Mott the Hooples, 3 or 4 Doors, all kinds of stuff, a wide variety. Jerry Jeff Walker, like 8 or 9 Jerry Jeff Walker albums. And the Kinks, bunches. This is just a few of them. There were bunches of Kinks albums, maybe 7 or 8 Kinks albums. So that was great. So the gifts from friends like that are greatly appreciated, and can't thank them enough for that. I don't really have a listening ritual. Sometimes I come down and clean records while I play records, which you can't hear everything that good because when you're using the vacuum, but when you're not using the vacuum, you're hearing it. And sometimes I come to this couch and just stretch out and turn the lights off and just listen, but usually not. Usually I have the records on and I'm doing something. So that's my my contribution to my entry into Dylan's Noble Records 7 million subscribers, I believe it seems like. And I will say, I found out about the vinyl community through Dylan. I used to follow him on, or still do I guess, on Instagram, and he was talking about YouTube videos that he was doing. Came over here and watched a couple of them and discovered just a whole new world opened up for me. So Dylan, I appreciate you for doing that for me, and wouldn't have known about it if it hadn't been for you. Good luck with your record store, and I hope your family's doing well. Let's see. Oh, I've got a contest. Dylan's got 7 million subscribers. I've got 142 now. So I didn't do one at 100 because it was the middle of the holiday season. Figured everybody was real busy. So I'm doing a 130 plus subscribers contest. I'll put the link here. If you don't see it, just click on my name and you can find it. You'll see a subscriber contest video there. It's only 4 prompts for you, and I'd love for you to enter that one as well. Good luck, everybody. Remember to be kind to your neighbor, and everybody is your